Got to stay true to my word here and represent some sort of Supercross or dirt bike apparel for each episode of this series, guys. So here you go. Nice big old weather type jacket that I got in like 2019 or 2020 of Supercross when I was at A1, but haven't worn it since. Love that for me. Terrible purchase, but you know. Hopefully this season, but I can't wear this all episode, guys, because one, it's going to get way too hot, and two, it's going to make too much noise going shh, 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 shh the whole time. So how's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the 2022 Supercross Prediction Series. Today's episode, we're looking at the Monster Energy Star Racing Yamaha team. So what I'm doing in the series is looking at the top riders of the main teams for the 450 class in Supercross, and we're going to compare them with stats and gut feeling, and we're going to kind of see who we think is going to win the 2022 season. In previous episodes, we have already looked at Honda, we have looked at Kawasaki, we looked at KTM, and today we are looking at Star Racing Yamaha. Now, before we get into this, guys, I need to let you know that we are 11 subscribers away. You guys already know the deal. 11 subscribers away from reaching 500 before the end of the year. So if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe. It's free. I mean, you're not paying for it, so come on, just do it. Help me out here. Help us out. Help out the community. With that being said, guys, let's jump into the video. So, Monster Energy Star Racing Yamaha. We have the newcomer to the team, but not newcomer to Supercross, Eli Tomac. So at the time of season, Eli Tomac is going to be 29 years old, and like I've explained in previous videos, the peak age for these riders is going to be somewhere in their 26 years of age. So he's a little bit past the peak, yeah, but you don't see it in his riding. You really don't see it. He's been racing 450 for 9 years. I think that's the same as Roczen. Yeah, they've been both racing for 9 years in the 450 class. So he's been racing 450 for 9 years, and out of those 9 years, he has won a 450 race 37 times. That's impressive. Nice. Season podium, so at the end of his 9 years, he has been on the podium 6 times. Fantastic, dude. I like how I'm so surprised I wrote these stats down. I did the research. But yeah, out of those 6 times, he got first place once, which I believe was 2 years ago. In the COVID season, I think, is when he got his championship. So he, out of the 6 times, he got first place once, second place 3 times, and third place twice. These are fantastic numbers for him, especially out of 9 years of racing. Really respect that. And guys, this is why he's one of the best racers in Supercross. This is why he's going to go down as one of the best for sure, definitely. Now, you might be wondering, wait, Star Racing Yamaha, why are we talking about Eli Tomac? I thought he raced for Kawasaki. He did. He did for a long time. But this past year, there have been a lot of racers switching teams here, and Eli Tomac was one of them. He switched from the Monster Energy Kawasaki, which was a huge shock to me, and he switched over to the Star Racing Yamaha. Now, we don't know exactly why. We have what he's told us. But like I said before, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff like public image of the racer, public image of the teams that he's leaving and joining, contracts, X, Y, and Z. So we're never going to get the full true story here. I can tell in his facial expressions and the way he tells the stories on these podcasts that I think there's more to it, especially on the Kawasaki side. But he obviously probably can't tell due to contract. But with all that aside, he's with Star Racing Yamaha now, so let's focus on that. I think he's loving it, and if you've been following Supercross and especially Star Racing Yamaha, they've been on an insane one lately, especially in this past year. Something about them, dude, their spark has been lit and they're going crazy. They just pulled Eli Tomac. They have a new bike out that everybody's raving about, especially in the professional world. And aside from Supercross, they got one of the what's his name? One of the Deegan boys. They just signed one of the Deegan boys to the Yamaha team, but not for Supercross or anything. But they're signing pretty big name people, and they're making moves. They got supposedly an amazing bike coming out that everybody's loving. So I don't know, dude. Star Racing Yamaha is gonna be on a freaky one coming up. They're going to be doing some great things. So I'm really stoked to see not just Tomac racing this season, but what Star Racing Yamaha is going to be doing in the next few years. So with those stats out of the way, let's look at these notes we got for Tomac. Undeniably one of the best riders out there. I've already said it, and I'll say it again. Undeniably one of the best riders out there. If you've watched this dude in like a full race, not like a highlight reel, because I've tried to find good clips in a highlight reel, it just doesn't capture how insane this guy is. He's a demon on the track. He's a demon on the track. He has the speed. He has the aggression without being an asshole about it. He can corner. He can hit some whoops. He's got the speed through the whole course. Like, he's amazing. And again, if you've ever seen this guy ride, he's aggressive without riding dirty. His cornering is textbook. Like, you see him go into a corner, especially battling somebody, that is something to watch. This guy, he's got the jumps, he's got the whoops on lock, he's got it all. And he just carries that speed throughout the whole track. You know, you don't see any shortcomings on these tracks. Now, the question is, was he fast or was the Kawasaki bike fast? Because, again, I think the Kawasaki bikes for the past few years have been kind of top ranking out of all the other manufacturers. So I don't know if it was that making him as good as he was. Obviously, there's going to be skill in play. You got to work with the machine. But I think those bikes were pretty insane as well. But now it seems like he's going to be switching to another insane bike. So I don't think the team switch is going to do any bad things for him. I think the team switch is going to be nothing but good for him, because obviously he's got to be a smart guy. Come on, he's got to be a smart guy, especially in the world of Supercross. He knows what he's doing. He's not going to switch teams on a whim, especially this late in his career. I think he knows what he's doing, and I think the Yamaha bike is definitely going to work with him, and he's going to work with it, and it's going to make some amazing things happen. Now let's take a look at Tomac's teammate here on the Yamaha team, and that is going to be Dylan Ferrandis. Now, I try to be super unbiased in these videos that I do for you guys, but and I still will be, but Ferrandis is not one of my favorite riders, and we'll get into that. So at the time of season, he's going to be 27 years old, that's kind of late for coming into the 450 class, isn't it? He's been racing 450 for 1 year, so this is going to be his second year going into it. He's got 0 450 wins and 0 end-of-season podiums, which isn't anything bad because he only did 1 season so far. But still, 27 going into 450, or 26, I guess, going into the 450s. Interesting. A little bit past the peak age, but he's still up there in the top performance range. He placed fairly well for his debut year in the 450s. He got 7th overall, I believe, at the end of the season, and that's pretty good for your first year, because like I've mentioned in previous videos, there is a transition period going from your 250 riding days to your 450 in Supercross. You know, you get in that good groove, laying down solid laps in the 250s, and then you get thrown to a new bike, new speeds, new weights, and new riders. So there's a transition period for about 1 year to 3 years for people switching to the 450 class. So to see that he pulls 7th in his debut year, pretty good. He's definitely a fast and aggressive rider who you do not want coming up behind you in a corner, and that's part of the reason why I'm not the biggest fan of him. He can get dirty in the corners. He's been known to lay it into somebody, lay someone over, crash X, Y, and Z, and just wipe other people out to benefit himself. Again, not the worst thing in the world, because that's racing, but I mean, Tomac can do it. Tomac can corner and make passes without laying people out and potentially injuring them or breaking the bike or anything, you know. So I think Ferrandis should be able to as well. I don't know. Maybe he'll mature now that he's in the 450 class and try to find those ways of making these corners without wiping people out and making a bad name for himself, especially now that he's racing with Tomac, who knows how to do that. Maybe he can pick up a few pointers. Maybe he can learn a thing or two, or maybe he'll say the same. I mean, who cares? He's the rider at the end of the day. He could do what he wants. Now, the thing that I'm curious to see how it's going to play out this year is I believe I've seen him check Tomac a time or two in the corners. So it'll be interesting to see how they behave when they cross paths on the track now that they're teammates. Because obviously, factory teams don't want their riders, you know, going at each other. They want both of them to win so they can get those manufacturer points as well. So they have to work together now. Ferrandis is an aggressive, young and hungry type rider, and Tomac is a no-nonsense seasoned vet. So I don't know if I'd call it an ego, but for lack of a better term, the ego on both of them, if they do start to make contact, I think it could get really messy, seeing who's the alpha male out of them too. But, I mean, I think Tomac might be maturing even more so, and he might be able to let that kind of stuff go, or he'll bring it to the manufacturer's attention, and maybe they'll do something about it. Who knows? I mean, I guess we'll just have to see. Will their pride get the best of them, or will they be able to put their pride aside and do what's best for the team and themselves? We're just going to have to wait and see and find out. So, guys, those are the stats for the two riders, and I like to pick a representative for each of the teams each episode to kind of bring into the last episode so we can see who we think is going to win. For this one, this is going to be a difficult one as well. Almost like the, what episode was that? That was the Red Bull KTM episode. I was having a tough time. Plessinger versus Webb, who should take the representation for that team. I don't know who's going to take it for this team either. Like, you have both ends of the spectrum here. You have old seasoned vet who's kind of on the downslope with age right now, but he does have all of that experience, consistency, great riding, and reputation behind him. Or you have the new guy in the class that's younger, closer to the peak age, and just as aggressive and hungry for the wins. I think I'm going to give it to Ferrandis. I think I'm going to give this one to Dylan Ferrandis. If I look at the last year alone, Tomac, now that he's got his win, his overall championship, which he's been fighting for his 9 years racing 450, now that he's got that, the fire's a little bit less. Last season, he wasn't as consistent. You can kind of see him fluctuate in the pack. And I don't know, I think he might be coming close to the end of his career, maybe in the next 5 years, maybe. And Ferrandis in his debut year pulling 7th, being as aggressive as he is, being as fast as he is. I think if he learns a thing or two from last season or even training on the off season, hey, maybe if he fixes a thing or two, he can definitely be a force to be reckoned with. I think I'm going to have to hand it to Ferrandis, and I might eat my own words on that because I'm also thinking Tomac might relight that fire with the new team. So I'm going to give it to Ferrandis, but know that it is a very, very, very close decision there on those two. Well, I'm very excited to see how they race this season as well. But yeah, I will give it to Ferrandis. I don't know. In the last episode, you know what? I'll make an exception. I'm going to keep both of them in the running for who could win this season. Yeah, I'm going to keep them both in the running to see. I'll keep them in the running, guys. So thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the 2022 Supercross Prediction Series. We've already looked at Honda. We've looked at Kawasaki. We've looked at KTM. Now we've looked at Yamaha. Next episode, I'm going to be throwing two teams into one episode because one of them only has one rider. We're going to be looking at Rockstar Husqvarna and the Troy Lee Design Red Bull GasGas. So make sure you stay tuned for the last episode where we look at two teams, 3 riders, and we come up with our final prediction of who's going to take home, we'll say the top 3 spots here. We'll do a podium. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. And again, we'll catch you in the next one.